Making up lies and believing them, something Trisha Paytas is infamous for.
I'm like a computer programmer, but I work in my house so no one ever sees me. I was a stripper and they told me to make up another job.
Oh, you are a stripper?
Yeah.
You say you're a computer programmer.
They asked me to come up with another job and my brother was a computer programmer.
If you guys don't know, I was actually a computer programmer. I developed softwares to trade S&P futures contracts.
I couldn't tell you one single correct fact about Trisha Paytas because the source herself is so uncredible. Trisha went from one of the most talked about notorious YouTubers, calling people out every week and exposing them, to getting exposed herself big time and turning around and becoming a so-called positive change overnight. And now she's a family-friendly vlogging channel? The hypocrisy of it all was shocking to fans and left many speechless. So what happened? In September of last year, we can see a massive dip of over 1 billion views on Trisha's social blade, meaning that she deleted a huge chunk of videos from her channel. These videos, without a doubt, were highly problematic. So what was it that she was hiding from us? Now, not everything has been recovered, but the videos that have been found, well, some will shock you and others will leave you seriously questioning Trisha's credibility. Although Trisha is kind of falling off at the moment, no one's really talking about her, she's not really pushing herself in drama at present, fans have started bringing up her past. Lo and behold, it's full of contradicting statements. She's built her entire career off lying, and now she gets mad at anyone who comes for her, because now she's a self-proclaimed changed person. I'm sure many of you will remember when Trisha posted a video to her channel in September 2021 called Addressing Everything, in which Trisha avoided explaining everything. Trisha went on to claim that she gets her stories messed up all the time, she hears things from people and doesn't fact check, and that she should have never been on Frenemies because of that very reason. Interestingly enough, the death of Trisha's career has been self-inflicted. Even though she got cancelled last year and went off the rails by trying to adopt multiple religions to make herself seem like a worldly person, none of this could have prevented what's been exposed about her since. For years, she's built a career of lying for clout, but at what point did these lies go too far? The Frenemies podcast, which began in September 2020, exposed a lot of Trisha's lies. When Ethan would ask Trisha simple questions about her past, things weren't adding up and the stories she told in the past weren't matching up with the way she described them on Frenemies. People soon started piecing the puzzle together and collaging clips from Frenemies and from old videos, putting them together side by side and unveiling her never-ending lies. This ultimately proved that she was a liar. She could not stop compulsively lying. It would be about anything. Past work she'd done, celebrities she'd met, recounting stories she'd alleged happen. But I think the pattern of smearing deceased people's reputations was an easy way for her to lie and come up with stuff because, of course, those people couldn't speak out and defend themselves. Coming for the deceased. This would eventually result in a huge point of criticism when it came to Trisha's downfall.
Music video. I did not get to talk to Amy Winehouse. She wasn't like very personable, but we did see her sit underneath the tents with her maybe then husband at the time, and she was definitely out of it. I do remember her just making out with him, just like leaning on him.
There's me right at the beginning shot of Tears Dry on Their Own. Amy herself was just not having it that day either. She was screaming at her boyfriend. They'd be all over each other one minute and then screaming at him the next. She was kicking chairs.
The biggest lie Trisha Paytas got caught in was to do with some serious allegations that she'd made against a former 6th grade teacher of hers, Mr. Riney, who has since passed away. The lies that she allegedly told not only distressed Mr. Riney's family, but ultimately led to the downfall of her career, and she was no longer seen as a trustworthy YouTuber. Now, this was a very controversial allegation at the time. A lot of people are still on the fence as to whether or not Trisha was actually lying. The main reason people believed she lied was because over a period of 6 months, she retold that same story, but certain parts of the story would change, leading people to believe that she was making shit up. She eventually got called out for this. The first video she'd posted about Mr. Riney was in December of 2020 over a remix of Lady Gaga's Bad Romance. Trisha posted a series of slides stating the following: 6th grade teacher known to be mean to everyone takes a liking to me and gives me a nickname.com. We start playing games in class that requires heads down to not cheat, and he stands behind me the whole time to rub himself on me. Eventually starts putting hands up and down and inside me, and students report this. Principal punishes me by switching my classes and telling me I'm no longer allowed to show my arms or legs, and they need to be covered at all times. Teacher finds me and gives me kisses on the lips to apologize. Takes pics of me naked in his classroom and told me he'd send them to Playboy, even though I was 12. He gets arrested for having CP on his computer at work. There were actually comments beneath this video insinuating that Trisha had stolen this story from a 3-year-old Reddit post that was telling that exact story. Trisha basing lies off of other people's stories isn't something new to her, but this was, however, a shocking revelation for her fans. So let's fast forward to episode 17 of Frenemies, where Trisha changed her story.
With like this teacher that was like forcing himself on me and stuff, and I was just like, how does no one believe me? The principal, like nobody. It was like really weird, and so I think from that, like,
did that guy eventually did anyone eventually believe you?
Not funny, but like my 6th grade teacher, I talked about it on TikTok, the one that used to pass me would play like heads down, and he'd come around and like grab my breast and like put his hands on me. He did get arrested. His name was
or because of other incidents.
So someone else came forward. I never did.
Gross.
But he had child on his computer at the school.
Oh my God. Nobody knew.
Byron Middle School, and I did say something originally, and like no one believed me. It happened again my 8th grade year. No one believed me, and I was just like, bruh. But that guy he did get arrested.
So this was different to the story she told on TikTok. On TikTok, she'd said heaps of students reported this and that the principal made her change classes. Whereas in this Frenemies clip, she'd said no one believed her and that she's the one who went to the principal. So fast forward to episode 23 of Frenemies, she brought up the same story and had changed it a 3rd time. She'd stated that when she went to the principal's office, Mr. Riney had said in his defense she was wearing water bras, so she was asking for it. Trisha then went on to say this guy got arrested later on. Trisha brought up this story a 4th time on her own podcast, My Chemical Imbalance. And then, after all these multiple different stories kept coming out, Business Insider wrote an article about the alleged incident. The article went on to state, on September the 7th, a YouTube channel with 26,000 subscribers uploaded a video about Paytas' claims against their former teacher. The creator said they could find no records of the man's arrest. The man in question appears to have died in 2019, according to an obituary reviewed by Insider that matches up with Paytas' references to the man. A review conducted by Insider did not locate records that would indicate a previous arrest. It's important though to also note that there was a narrative that was formed at the time surrounding these allegations where fans of hers automatically came to the defense of Mr. Riney because he was apparently a well-respected man in the community, and this is actually something that is used to invalidate SA victims constantly. This is the reason why Trisha didn't fully get cancelled. There wasn't enough evidence for fans to determine what really happened. When Trisha was faced with the backlash from allegedly lying, she had a huge breakdown. Trisha is currently pregnant with her husband, Paytas-Hacmon, who's gotten into a lot of drama himself in the past, like some really serious stuff that never went anywhere apparently. He got accused of stealing by his ex-girlfriend, which is huge, and the victim has now gone silent. And Trisha and Moses never mentioned or made a public statement about these allegations that were circulating at the time, except for when Trisha said in leaked text messages to Ethan Klein that the victim was lying. They just shut their mouths and continued on, and decided that they would only post positive content to social media from that point onwards. In fact, the victim actually started getting backlash for going on and on and on about Moses, bringing up a lot of things from their time together that actually had nothing to do with what he'd allegedly done, and this ultimately led her to being more quiet on social media. The contrast and contradictory of Trisha's lies being put on blast ultimately concludes how Trisha cancelled herself and her career. Although she's trying her best to be a changed person now, some things just don't fly with her fans.